Can I just say that if I was 15 and I watched Top Gun 2, I would 100% try to be an Air Force pilot, or I guess Air Navy, whatever. What a baller movie. Do you think Tom survived his high G pull in Iran yesterday? True. Wait, do planes really have like a little G force thing on their HUD or whatever? I don't even know what the you would call it. Is that like actively? Yes? Oh, damn, okay. There's a part on Perrin's video that I think is important to know. It's 5 to 8 minutes.
At home, that gets us to 11 destroyed bombers as we move on. Interestingly, it wasn't just bombers hit. We also have the visually confirmed destruction of a heavy transport aircraft, an Antonov 12. But even more interesting than the fact that this transport aircraft was hit is what wasn't hit. Because for me, this is one of the most interesting twists on the spider's web story so far. The bears and the backfires make up a majority of Russia's strategic bombing force, but they're not the most modern or most capable aircraft in the inventory. That honour almost certainly goes to the Tupolev 160. The Russians call it the White Swan, and NATO calls it the Blackjack. I'd argue this thing is a much closer equivalent to the American B-1 than the smaller backfire. It entered service much, much later, April 1987, as the apex of Soviet strategic bomber design. In a sense, it combines the strengths of the two previous bombers we've talked about, the supersonic pace of the backfire with the range and payload of the bear, with the main design compromise being that they're bloody expensive, hard to maintain, and relatively rare. Military balance estimated the fleet at 13 actives, with several more undergoing modernisation. An interesting piece of trivia is part of that Russian fleet is made up of airframes the Ukrainians handed over in 1999.
Do you feel the difference between name brand and generic Vyvanse? I've never tried a generic version of it before.
In exchange for relief on their gas.
Anecdotally, I didn't do much Adderall, but Adderall XR and Vyvanse felt very similar to me, though.
Debts. When this...
Are you up to date with the Shelby drama? Who is Shelby? Shelby D's nuts or whatever? Shelby D's tits? Shelby D's...
Soviet Union collapsed, the Ukrainians inherited 19 Blackjacks, the Russians got 8, and with one exception that found its way to the Poltava Museum of Long Range and Strategic Aviation, the rest was scrapped at the urging of the United States. As some of the rarest and most valuable combat aircraft...
What was the difference you felt between Adderall and Vyvanse? Almost nothing. It felt very similar to me. 20 milligrams of Adderall XR felt very similar to 50 milligrams of Vyvanse to me. But I feel like I'm also very lucky. I don't think, for whatever reason, my body just deals with amphetamines really well. Like, I don't have any of the negative side effects like the sleepy or the jitters or anything like that, so I might just be lucky there.
In Russian inventory, the Blackjacks haven't actually seen that much usage in Ukraine. They've been used sparingly on a handful of occasions, but it's overwhelmingly been cheaper bears and backfires doing the missile heavy lifting. Instead, their primary role has remained linked to Russia's nuclear deterrent. This is an aircraft capable of long-range deterrence patrols and delivering standoff nuclear munitions, even against the continental United States. And so you'd probably imagine that as the most expensive, the rarest, and the highest performing aircraft on this list, they would have been the Ukrainians' priority target number one. But as far as we can tell so far, I haven't seen evidence of the Ukrainians hitting any of them. And for me, one of the bigger questions around this operation so far is...
See in the news, Zimovsky's prediction for Iran-Israel? It's subbed in Russian. Nope. See the new China trade deal? Have we signed one? Did we get one? I get the no sleep amphetamines. I run off like 4.5 hours when I'm popping. Oh, I try to take mine every day. So like I could take a Vyvanse and sleep, and it would be fine. At this point, because I'm probably used to it enough. Are you trying to convince your lawyers to submit a motion for dismissal based on the Abby MC DMs? Motion to dismiss comes in the pleading stage of a case, I believe, only at the start. once you're past the pleading stage, you can only push for a summary judgment. Fuck! I'm dying.
Конфликт. Израиль нанесет удар по тем объектам, где ему кажется, его разведке, есть центры ядерные по обогащению урана.
Well, at least they subtitled it. Wait, what retard linked this? Why do I care about this? Scroll down in the text post. Is it the plus? I don't. There's a button to translate it. Okay. Do you know the purple people from yesterday's time guesser were? Nope. I don't even remember the country. Something in Africa? Destiny's still only pulling 3K viewers, lol. Don't make fun of me, I'm trying, okay? Oh, I'm on like the reading. Can't you try? I don't even know who this guy is. Why the fuck would I care what he says about anything? Who is this guy? Why do I even care? Google, translate. Russian. Not working. Russian right-wing politician. Okay. What do I care about this guy? I don't even know why I was linked this. Okay, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Why was I linked this? Hold on.
At home, that gets us to 11 destroyed bombers as we move on. Interestingly, it wasn't just bombers hit. We also have the visually confirmed destruction of a heavy transport aircraft, an Antonov 12. But even more interesting than the fact that this transport aircraft was hit is what wasn't hit. Because for me, this is one of the most interesting twists on the Spider's Web story so far. Okay. The bears and the backfires make up a majority of Russia's strategic bombing force, but they're not the most modern or most capable aircraft in the inventory. That honor almost certainly goes to the Tupolev 160. The Russians call it the White Swan, and NATO calls it the Blackjack. I'd argue this thing is a much closer equivalent to the American B-1 than the smaller backfire. It entered service much, much later, April 1987, as the apex of Soviet strategic bomber design. In a sense, it combines the strengths of the two previous bombers we've talked about, the supersonic pace of the backfire with the range and payload of the bear, with the main design compromise being that they're bloody expensive, hard to maintain, and relatively rare. Military balance estimated the fleet at 13 actives, with several more undergoing modernization. An interesting piece of trivia is part of that Russian fleet is made up of airframes the Ukrainians handed over in 1999 in exchange for relief on their gas debts. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the Ukrainians inherited 19 Blackjacks, the Russians got 8, and with one exception that found its way to the Poltava Museum of Long Range and Strategic Aviation, the rest was scrapped at the urging of the United States. As some of the rarest and most valuable combat aircraft in Russian inventory, the Blackjacks haven't actually seen that much usage in Ukraine. They've been used sparingly on a handful of occasions, but it's overwhelmingly been cheaper bears and backfires doing the missile heavy lifting. Instead, their primary role has remained linked to Russia's nuclear deterrent. This is an aircraft capable of long-range deterrence patrols and delivering standoff nuclear munitions, even against the continental United States. And so you probably imagine that as the most expensive, the rarest, and the highest performing aircraft on this list, they would have been the Ukrainians' priority target number one. But as far as we can tell so far, I haven't seen evidence of the Ukrainians hitting any of them. And for me, one of the bigger questions around this operation so far is just why? I've seen some suggestions that it might have been because the Blackjacks weren't there, that none of them were at these air bases when they were attacked, and that's why they weren't hit. I'm pretty confident that's not true. We have satellite imagery from before the attack, clearly showing that there wasn't just 1 or 2 Blackjacks in place, there were 7 at one of these air bases alone. You can see them marked in this satellite image here, and given their size and distinctive shape, it's very difficult to misidentify them as anything else. We also have imagery showing that they were there after the attack. Their shots particularly telling, with a Blackjack seen sitting there, surrounded by the burned out remains of multiple other bombers. Oh, and in some of the footage of the attack itself that's been released by the Ukrainians, you can see them, lined up pretty much exactly where the satellite footage said they should be. I find it deeply unlikely that Ukrainian drone pilots wouldn't have been able to recognize something as distinctive as a massive white-painted strategic bomber, so why did we see a pilot literally hit a transport aircraft, but no one go after the Blackjacks? Assuming they were there at the time the Ukrainian drones arrived, I have two potential explanations: luck or a deliberate Ukrainian decision not to hit them. I don't think there's ever been a situation in war where bad luck should be definitively ruled out. But given the circumstances and evidence available, I'd suggest that a deliberate Ukrainian decision here is very much plausible. And if so, it might represent a remarkable case of strategic restraint and escalation management. A statement, if you will, to the Russian Federation that the Ukrainians would go after bombers that were being used to attack Ukraine, but that they weren't interested in degrading even a little bit the functioning of Russia's nuclear deterrent. It also might provide a bit of a backhanded incentive for the Russians not to start using the Blackjacks for missile strikes against Ukraine. Sure, that might help make up for the sudden loss of other operational bomber airframes, and the Blackjacks can absolutely do the missile slinging job, but the implication might be that by doing that, the Russians would also make them legitimate targets if anything like this were ever to happen again. If that was the intention, though, the Ukrainians might be disappointed, because we've seen some reporting the Blackjacks have already been used for missile strikes against Ukraine just in the last couple of days, with the Ukrainians claiming it's a result of the Russians making up for the shortage of available bears. So a final note then before we get into the bombers that were merely damaged, not destroyed, is a quick mention of the A-50 AWACS aircraft that were reportedly hit as well. I've seen a lot of very dramatic reporting about these two strikes where Ukrainian drones appear to have landed on the radar domes of these aircraft before detonating, and I understand a degree of excitement from the pro-Ukrainian perspective. The Russian inventory of active A-50s, particularly the modernized A-50Us, is very, very small, a handful at this point. But from the evidence available, I don't think the A-50s hit were from that small active fleet. Both of these aircraft have visible corrosion on the wings and radar dome. They're missing engines, which is not generally a state of affairs associated with aircraft ready to fly in operational service. And there are other factors, including the positioning of these aircraft on the bases, that suggest they might have been retired aircraft or part donors rather than active A-50s regularly flying missions in Ukraine. Hitting them may potentially have had some value depending on what components hadn't been removed and what state the aircraft were actually in, but for the purpose of tallying up losses from the operation, I wouldn't suggest including these. Russia does have a shortage of well-maintained, operational, upgraded A-50U.
Okay. Wait, what? Okay. We're going to do a little bit of breaking news today, okay? Oh boy. Calling it now, I bet she had a stroke or some shit. The woman who got shot and killed? Wait, what? Hello? Oh, I didn't know about that. I thought it was some crazy Republican. My bad. Okay. At exactly the same time, a senior Israeli official tells me there is a significant likelihood that the U.S. will join. President Putin, blah, blah, blah. Join what? Somebody asked if I'm all in on nothing ever happens. I don't know what would happen between Israel and Iran. What do you think would happen? Iran can't invade Israel. I don't feel like Iran has any airplanes. They can lob some missiles over to Israel, which I think they've already done. They don't seem to have much success there. Israel's never ground invading Iran. I don't know why the U.S. would get involved. The only thing Israel wants to do is disable Iranian nuclear facilities. I guess the scariest possible thing that could happen, I guess, if I was looking for something really scary, the scariest possible thing would be Israel publicly communicating or Iran communicating or something, or it becomes clear that Israel was not able to sufficiently degrade Iran's nuclear program. That would be the scary thing, because at that point, then you're starting to look at Israel doing escalating measures. I think it's low, but I think there would be like a non-zero chance No, the U.S. would get involved first. So I think there might be a non-zero chance that Israel would use nuclear weapons against Iran. But I think Israel would communicate that to the U.S., and I think the U.S. might get involved before that. Just as crazy it would be for the U.S. to get involved. Obviously, nobody wants anybody nuking anybody. I've seen people talking about how Israel may be pushing for a regime change. Do you think it's possible? I mean, they want it, obviously. They fucking hate. They fucking hate Iran and Khomeini and Ayatollah. They don't want to deal with that shit. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how much power Israel would have to force that. Also, most of the people in Iran, I don't even think like the regime. I don't know. I don't know Iranian history or how that country works well, so I can't tell you like what the chances of that happening are, but... Israel themselves have stated that they won't be able to destroy Iran's nuclear program with just airstrikes. I would have to see what, I mean, like, they're going to say whatever publicly, but you have to, like, see what the military movements are and what the posturing is of other powers around the world. Can you address the Israeli astroturfing on the subreddit? I don't know. When we see them, we ban them. There's a lot of, like, annoying fucking pro-Pali people and then annoying fucking crazy Israeli people that show up to do their bullshit. But... aren't today's nukes just extremely powerful bombs? Wait. I heard the fallout isn't really an issue anymore. If so, what's the problem? Well, the problem is the bombs are incredibly powerful. They're very, 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 very powerful. I didn't even realize how... Because when we look up, like, the tactical nuclear weapon, my assumption would be that these are, like, on the scale of, like, big bombs. But even tactical nuclear weapons, they're very powerful, number one. Number two... no, nuclear fallout I don't think has ever really been a huge concern. Even with the shittier, less efficient bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I mean, like, it is the thing immediately, but it's not like that's the fear is like the nuclear radiation or fallout or whatever. It's just the fact that the destructive capacity is insanely huge. The scariest thing, in my opinion, is right now, there's a huge taboo around nuclear anything. There's a big, big, big taboo around it. And I worry that if like one person uses a nuclear weapon, it's going to kind of pop the lid off that, and everybody's going to be kind of looking at their nuclear arsenals, and their military options will have expanded everywhere. And I think that would be really scary. Is there a world where these far lefties would argue and justify Iran using nuclear weapons on Israel? Yeah, of course. They don't give a fuck. Remember, to an ML, the destruction or the eradication of any Western nation is always justified. 100%. So this would be scary stuff that I would see. Israel's airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites have damaged some above-ground research facilities, but do not appear to have eliminated the thousands of centrifuges buried underground or hundreds of pounds of material, according to experts. This is bad. Because, yeah, I don't think Israel will tolerate Iran getting a nuclear weapon. And my guess would be that most of the regional actors would implicitly or explicitly support Israel bombing Iran until all that shit is blown up. Israel claimed they had air superiority over Tehran earlier this morning. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they do. Or they have fucking F-35s, right? It gives you air superiority over almost any enemy in the world, except for maybe China and Russia. Maybe, would be my guess. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have the appropriate weapons or intel to strike all the places that they need to strike, or to destroy all the things they need to destroy, maybe. But I think Israel said, didn't Netanyahu say this was an operation that it was planning to take days, so... Should the U.S. bomb the Iranian nuclear facilities if Israel can't? I don't know. That's a really, really, really rough one. Saudi Arabia and Israel, I think, would both be very, 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 very unhappy if Iran, and once they have one, they can just start producing. It would be spooky. However, I mean, personally, vibes, we're doing vibes geopolitics right now. I don't feel like Iran is the type of super crazy, unstable nation that would just start randomly nuking people. But like Elon was saying yesterday, I hate to agree with him on anything, it gives Iran so much more of a pass to basically do whatever the fuck they want in the region, and they love fucking around in the region because now it's harder to attack them when they can theoretically retaliate with a nuclear weapon. It makes everybody less comfortable with that. Yeah, and then like in the background, the truly horrifying thing is we have no more quote unquote deep state. We have no more like trained people or intelligent people running the ship anywhere, steering the ship. We have Trump and now all of his Fox News host friends who unfortunately are just stupid. It's truly the most horrifying thing. Like if we disagreed geopolitically, like if it was like a Rubio type person or even a JD Vance type person, as much as I don't like those people ideologically, like even a Hitler type person, if we just had an intelligent person, the problem is our current leadership is so stupid. They don't have a mind for politics at all. They don't have a mind for, or at least nothing internationally. They don't have an understanding or care of the region. They don't have necessarily, they don't have any kind of long-term or medium-term or short-term comprehensive vision or plan for anything. Like, this was the guy, who has the clip? This was the guy that we are sending as a foreign...
Steve, thank you.
He's our foreign envoy. We sent this guy to Russia and Israel. And...
doesn't want Hamas in its border. They don't want that. What? Can the U.S. deliver that?
Well, first of all, I think the largest issue in that conflict are these so-called four regions: Donbass,
Yes.
Crimea, the names
Lugansk, yeah.
Lugansk, and there's two others.
kill me, bro. Kill me. We're all dead. The fuck? Hello? This is our foreign envoy that is negotiating, in all these other countries? Hello? What's wild is huge subreddits like r/public freakout have become insanely pro-Pally. Yeah, I mean, like all of the subreddits. I think it's just like the younger culture. They kind of like slid hard left in a lot of cringy ways. I mean, it'll come back as people go back and forth. I notice this a lot in the, like, I agree that, dude, I'll say this before anybody else, okay? I've worked real jobs before. Fuck companies and fuck corporations and fuck your boss and fuck the CEOs. They don't give a fuck about you, okay? At the end of the day, always remember that as soon as it becomes financially expedient for them to toss you, they'll do it. Not in a good way. Not a good tossing. A bad one, okay? They'll fire your ass. But the amount of people that I see posting all over social media where it's like, there's no point in working hard ever. Nothing good ever happens. Don't ever try hard at your job. Don't put in any effort at all. It's a waste of time. It's like, I mean, that's not true. I mean, people that put in the more effort, the better workers are going to get paid more. They are going to get promotions. You are going to get passed over. You are going to get laid off more. You are like, I don't know. Nobody can ever have like nobody can just chill the fuck out. Is the only one for Israel at this point regime change? Diplomacy is dead at this point, and it is pretty much just going to be whack-a-mole, military strikes forever, or Iran just gets the bomb and something happens. Again, I'm just being honest and not knowing the history. I don't know. I can't even tell you. I don't know why Iran fucking hates Israel so much and Saudi Arabia so much. I don't know where the huge impetus comes from for them to just fight forever and ever and ever. I don't know what it stems from. I don't know why. But technically Israel is winning the long term somehow. Well, I say somehow, but it truly has been off the backs of their military shit. And I think as time goes on, the situation degrades for Iran, and I think the situation improves for the Gulf and Israel, right? I mean, if you look before, you know, for Saddam, you had this unified Assad, Hussein, was it Ahmadinejad? Was that the guy? Or fuck the name? I don't remember the guy before Khomeini. Or maybe Ahmadinejad was. Am I pronouncing his name right? But you had your big, you had your huge unified, I guess like your Shia axis or whatever the fuck you want to call them, and then you had like a stronger Russia, and everybody supporting them. Saddam fell in Iraq, and then Iraq was kind of clusterfucked for a while with ISIS. Which wasn't beneficial for Iranian interests, I don't think. Now Syria, Assad is gone, and you've got a new regime coming in there that I think is probably not, it seems to be more favorable to Israel, I think. You've got Lebanon is starting to take a stronger stand against Hezbollah, whose operations have been severely degraded. Like the map, just from what I've seen, the map seems to be getting worse and worse for Iran. Russia is, who the fuck knows what's going on with Russia? They're just fucked. Yeah, the map seems to be getting worse and worse for Iran. It seems to be improving for the Gulf and for Israel. If things continue on this path, you know, you talk about, I mean, I feel like regime change in Iran or something will probably happen, or they'll just fuck off. Like, but I imagine that Iran is probably feeling a bit of pressure, maybe? I don't know. That's a vibe, my feeling. There could be huge things at play that I'm missing, but... The Islamic Revolution was almost fully built on hating the degenerate Western culture. It's a continuation of Khomeini's ideology. Okay, maybe. My international relation poli-sci friends keep saying that Israel currently doesn't have the kinds of bombs that can penetrate the bunkers the centrifuges are in. Have you heard something about that? I don't know what weapons capabilities Israel has. When you talk about like 1,000-pound or 2,000-pound bombs, though, isn't the point of that to penetrate like bunker buster shit? I don't know how much those have to weigh, what the capabilities have to be there. Can you explain the role of Saudi Arabia in the region and with respect to Israel? I've read and heard a lot about Jordan, Egypt, Syria, and Lebanon since they share a border, and even Yemen. I don't know. I feel Saudi Arabia feels to me like a country who, like, again, I'm vibing this, but Saudi Arabia feels like they kind of want to be Western. They're like, that shit's kind of cool. Like, we're still kind of traditional. We kind of have the Islamic shit going on, but not really. And our leadership, we want to make money. We want to modernize. We want to, like, we just want to be cool. Like, when we want to party, we all fly out to Beirut or we leave the state anyway. I don't know. It feels like Saudi Arabia is, I mean, I think we have a good relationship with them. We have had for a while. Yeah. No, you have separate bombs that are designed to penetrate reinforcements and underground shit. I mean, you can use, if you have like a huge, it's called a Buster rifle, can penetrate, I think, some of the strongest, deepest.
Huh? Where?
Only 3 shots.
Gather all the serpents here!
Okay, sorry, I'm done. Iran's hostility towards Israel isn't a centuries-old beef. I think it fully started after the Islamic Revolution. Before that, they were sort of almost allies, right? I don't know if I'd say they were allies, more that I don't hear Iran pop up much, or Iraq, through the 60s, 70s, much at all. I just don't. But that's just from the Israeli history perspective, so I don't know what they were doing over there. Iran might feel a certain type of way about the West, though, after the revolution and the coup and all that, maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. If you had to put $10,000 on it today, would you bet that a formal war will start between Israel and Iran in the next month? No. No, absolutely not. I just don't. It doesn't benefit either of them. I don't think either of them have the forces for it, and I don't think Israel just doesn't want Iran to have nukes, and that's what all of their military stuff will center around. Iran's not going to. How far would that even be? Like, if Iran wanted to march an army to, and I don't know what the relationship is with Iraq in terms of them being like this. I don't think that. I just don't think it would happen. I don't think so. My understanding is that these nuclear facilities are extremely shielded. For example, the Natanz nuclear facility has a 7.6 meter concrete shield, and this was just destroyed by Israel. Okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about, like, weapons or whatever. Can you summarize for a stupid person like me why America and a bunch of European nations are allowed to bomb the crap out of the Middle East and build nukes, but Iran isn't allowed to build any? This sounds like I'm being antagonistic, but can't be fucked, phrasing it properly, based. So one big issue that Westerners have is we kind of view the Middle East as one thing. It's not. Middle East is a lot of different competing forces. There are people that like it when we go to the Middle East and bomb the shit out of some people. For instance, when we bailed or saved Kuwait after Saddam Hussein invaded them, I think Kurdish people, generally like us. Because they get kind of bullied by everybody, and I don't think we usually fight with them, although Trump kind of fucked them over a little bit when he left after Syria. And then there are other people in the Middle East that obviously don't like us, but I think generally speaking, the U.S. is like friendly-ish with everybody in the Gulf, and generally we're not friendly-ish with, like, I guess, like Syria, Iraq, Iran. I don't know what the current relationship is like with Iraq. I don't know for the new regime in Syria, though. In terms of having nukes, the reason why a bunch of European nations don't have nukes, I believe it's the U.S., I think Britain and France, I think are the only three. I think that we don't want anything, generally people around the world just view it as like the more nuclear nations there are, the higher the chance there is of some kind of nuclear conflict. And once that starts, it can go off in a really bad direction. Yeah, not good. Destiny, you need to learn about Iran because you don't distinguish enough about Iranian people and their government. 85% of Iranians hate their government. I feel like every single time I brought it up, I feel like I've literally said that, but okay. That's one of the reasons why people liked expanding, encroaching things like NATO, and even to some extent like the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact, is a nuclear umbrella means that you have... A nuclear umbrella means that you have one nation that can provide nuclear cover for a lot of nations, so they don't all have to pursue nuclear weapons, right? Do you think that Trump killing Soleimani was a bad idea, considering all the RGC people Israel has been killing with basically no repercussions? No, fuck Soleimani. I was a legitimate target. Fuck him. Yeah, fuck that guy. The only reason why I might be opposed to that assassination is because I don't know if that hurt our relationship with Iraq at all. I don't know what our standing is with Iraq at all right now, though, so I don't know. But I don't know if that made them a little ass-pained, because I think we killed him in an Iraqi airport. Oh, Israel does have the ability to invade Iran. I wasn't aware of this. The Yahweh Tunnel. Did you just say France didn't have nukes? I said France, Great Britain, and the United States. What do you think I said? That those three countries don't have nukes, and that those three countries do have nukes? As far as I'm aware, I think the only countries in the world that have nuclear weapons, I believe, are the United States, France, Great Britain, Russia, India, Pakistan, China must, I think, right? Israel has they don't confirm it publicly, but everybody knows. And apparently South Africa had them and gave them up. People are saying Ireland. Does Ireland have nuclear weapons? Is that true? Did we look this up before? Is that a meme, or I don't know why people keep saying that? Oh, in North Korea. NPT, designated nuclear weapons states. So we have the United States, we've got the country of Alaska, France, Great Britain. States formerly possessing nuclear weapons is South Africa, Kazakhstan and Ukraine, although I could be wrong. I don't believe Kazakhstan and Ukraine had the ability to operate those weapons. But I've barely read this one, so I'm not sure. Because they were stockpiles left over from the Soviet Union. I don't know if they had the codes or whatever and the ability to still utilize these, but they gave them up in those Budapest memorandums in '94. Other states with nuclear weapons, we have India, North Korea, and Pakistan. Sorry, and then. Oh, Turkey might. Do we think that Turkey does? Or is that... Wait. NATO or CSTO member? Nuclear weapons sharing states. What does nuclear weapons sharing mean? That they can be deployed from those states? Or they have NATO nukes? Oh, okay. Who are Iran's allies outside of the Middle East? And if they're not already, why wouldn't China try to side with Iran since it's against U.S. interests? I think Iran's strongest allies outside the Middle East, I think, were Russia. And that's basically it, I think. China is kind of an ally, but I feel like China is, when it comes to military conflict and geopolitics in Europe and the Middle East, China kind of feels like a jungler who is just AFK farming, until 20 minutes. I don't know if China does anything or has the desire to do anything, or if they're just I just want to kind of chill over here and grow my econ, and that's it. That's what it feels like. Do you know South Africa is nuclear armed? I believe they gave up their nuclear arms a while ago. I think quite a while ago. Hearing Dusty talk about military stuff is so painful. Mr. Awesome 22, if you have something to contribute, feel free to say it, buddy. The apartheid government disarmed them because they didn't want the black government to have them. All right, based racism. What's the point of BRICS? BRICS is just an economic thing, and then some people fantasize or delusionally assume that they're going to come together like Captain Planet and do some crazy shit at some point, but... Yeah, wait, what? Am I misreading this? What countries? This is Spain, France, Germany, Poland, and that's Belarus. Oh, nuclear sharing means that they probably share nukes with Russia. That's not NATO shared nukes, that's Russia shared nukes. It just feels like with the nukes, there is a clear anti-Muslim bias there. Like the West collectively loses their shit at the idea of a Muslim country having nukes, whereas Christian countries and Israel get a pass. Is it that there's some sort of modern crusades versus jihad mentality going on? No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has more to do with first world, second world, third world stuff. Like the first world, the United States of America, and then some of their NATO-sharing allies had nuclear weapons during the Cold War. The second world, Soviet Russia had nuclear weapons, obviously. And then third world unaligned countries, non-aligned countries generally just didn't have the resources or means or anything to procure those. I don't know how India and China, or I'm sorry, India and Pakistan got next. I don't know the history. I don't know how they did it. India developed it themselves. Okay. No one gave a fuck? Somebody donated 2 minutes ago. Are you concerned that extremist killings by MAGA and leftists like Luigi could escalate into a Spanish Civil War style conflict? Maybe. Kind of fucked. Did you see the IAEA analysis that anything over 20% purity no longer has citizen research value? Yeah, I feel like for nuclear reactors, like 5 to 10% is the cap, but... I plan to do more research or reading streams sometime soon. Yeah, I need to find a way to like switch up. I don't know if I need like a different overlay or something, or to stream on a different channel. It's anytime I switch to reading or whatever, I notice it like, especially for DGG chat, like they basically just go off in a totally different direction. It's a little distracting and then I have to ignore it completely and it's just kind of weird. I have to figure out a way to like integrate that or manage that better. Always found explaining nuclear non-proliferation as a Mexican standoff to be a simple analogy. 3 people in a standoff is simple and stable. However, the more you add, increases the likelihood of a slip-up to happen. Yeah, maybe. How do we know Iran is at 60% enrichment? I'm sure there's some way to know. Let's do this Minnesota shooting thing first. The suspect was identified as Vance Bolter, 57, by law enforcement officials with knowledge of the investigation into the killing of a state representative and her husband, and the attack on a state senator and his wife. He remains at large. Let's say the Russia-Ukraine war ends. In 5 years, Ukraine starts trying to develop a nuke. Is Russia just about invading? If Ukraine was an unaligned state, I could definitely see that. I think that would be pretty spooky. Yeah, I think that'd be really spooky, but... Law enforcement officials identified Vance Bolter, 57, as a suspect in the assassination of one Democratic state legislator in Minnesota in in the attempted assassination of another on Saturday. The suspect's identity was confirmed by 2 law enforcement officials with knowledge of the matter who were not authorized to speak about the ongoing investigation. State, local, and federal police have flooded the Minneapolis suburbs searching for the suspect and for hours arrest residents near one of the crime scenes to shelter in place. Officials said a gunman impersonating a police officer killed Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark on Saturday morning and wounded Senator John A. Hoffman and his wife Yvette in a separate attack at the lawmakers' homes. Damn. So they haven't even caught him yet. Why is Last Night of Destiny and your regular channel releasing Soviet videos lately? I think we're about to start trying to just dump everything onto the main channel instead of doing the 2 different ones. I think we're in the process of trying that out. Vance Bolter, the man identified as the suspect in the attacks on 2 lawmakers, is listed as the director of security patrols on the website of a Minnesota-based private security group. We drive the same make and model of vehicles that many police departments use in the U.S. The website says the police have said the suspect was impersonating a police officer and had what appeared to be a police vehicle. Oof. The man suspected of attacking the lawmakers has been... Okay. Wait, so we don't know anything else about this? This is truly breaking news. Somebody found his car? Wait, what?
Our state lost a great leader, and I lost a dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care, and we are cautiously optimistic they will survive this assassination attempt. This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy.
Do we know right now? I mean, it seems fairly likely. But do we know for sure that it was like a targeted political thing? Like, is there like a manifesto or a public statement or anything by the shooter, or are we just assuming it? Okay.
We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint. In the state of Minnesota, and as recently as last week, in the most closely divided state legislature in the country, we sat down, we worked things out, we debated, we shook hands and compromised, and we served the state of Minnesota together. We proved that it's possible, even in these politically charged times, to find compromise and adhere to the principles.
He had a list of 70-plus Democrat targets. Oh, well, that would... Oh, that's what this is. Okay. The two law enforcement officials told CNN the suspect is a hit list with nearly 70 names, including other lawmakers and abortion providers, was also found in the suspect's car. Damn.
Democracy and civil discourse. We must all, Minnesota and across the country, stand against all forms of political violence. At this precipice moment we're on, this tragic act here in Minnesota.
Are Democrats not weaponizing the story right now? Weaponizing it how? Apparently, did Tim Walz activate an assassin against a political rival who voted against him, plan to give illegal immigrants free health care? Hold on. Gotta get my edgy tweets out here. Wait. The suspect is at large after fleeing on foot. A massive manhunt is underway. How do these people plan these things? This guy's the head of a security company. He's got apparently a police vehicle, a list of 70 people. He gets through 2 shootings and now is like, shit is fucked. Not great planning, my dude. Which we should all be thankful for.
Should serve as a reminder to all of us. The democracy and the debates in the halls of Congress, in state houses, in school boards, is a way to settle our differences peacefully and move society to a better place. We're collaborating with all local, state, and federal agencies on a full investigation. We're committed to keeping Minnesotans informed as the situation continues. I assure you that those responsible for this will be held accountable, and each and every one of us are committed to making sure that...
While it's probably Democrats on the list, the article says lawmakers, doesn't it? I still feel like it's a safe assumption. Wait, what? No, I thought the article said Democrats. Democratic lawmakers. Did I misread that? Oh, I read Democrats in chat. That article did not say Democrats. A hit list with nearly 70 names, including other lawmakers and abortion providers. Okay, we don't know if they're Democrats or not. Good catch.
A tragedy like this never repeats itself in Minnesota or across this country. I'd now like to turn it over to my public safety team to fill you in on the specifics of this ongoing investigation.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Drew Evans, and I'm the superintendent at the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. I want to start by just expressing our deepest sympathies to the communities, the family, the friends, and everybody that cared about the individuals that were gunned down today. When we have individuals like this in our political leadership, they're not only political leaders, but they're members of the community, well-known members of the community, that the tragedy in a situation like this is not only for them, their friends and families, but us collectively, the communities they represent, us as a state of Minnesota as a whole. About 2 a.m. this morning, there was an original call in the city of Champlin where there was an individual that had shot Senator Hoffman and his wife. Police responded to that location. They were dealing with that and working through that process overnight. And then later on, at approximately 3:35, that another call came in when it was officers pro.
ABC reported that it was Democrats. Oh, I think you need to be really careful with your reading here, guys. Why everybody? How many people in my chat just said this? ABC said it was Dems. ABC report that it was Dems. You guys are, and then I click your article, and it says Omar, Representative Omar, among dozens of Minnesota Democrats on gunmen's list. There were 70 people on the list. So it could be Republicans and Democrats. It could just be pro-life people, or I'm sorry, pro-choice people. I don't know. Chill. Read. Headline readers? Well, don't even call them headline. They didn't even read the headline. It says it right in the headline. It just dozens. Okay, chill.
Actively checking because they knew of the incident that occurred, and they were going to check on Speaker Hortman at that time, at which time Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual who immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire, and then the individual,
oh, shit.
They were dealing with that, and were individual that about 2 a.m. this morning, there was an original call in the city of Champlin where there was an individual that had shot Senator Hoffman and his wife. Police responded to that location. They were dealing with that and working through that process overnight, and then later on, at approximately 3:35, that another call came in when it was officers proactively checking because they knew of the incident that occurred, and they were going to check on Speaker Hortman at that time, at which time Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual.
Holy shit. That's like such a minor, small detail that might have been so fucking important for a good police work that some politician got shot and they proactively called and checked in the area for other politicians. And then they ran into this assassin dude at the next. Holy fuck! Nice job. Is this in Minneapolis or what? Whoever was involved in this, whatever police department. Damn.
Who immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire, and then the individual was able to escape during that exchange of gunfire. At the residence in Champlin, there was life-saving measures that were provided there. Both individuals were transported, as was previously noted, and they both received surgeries for their injuries at the hospital, and their conditions are at this time, both those individuals, Senator Hoffman and his wife, are both alive at this time.
Champlin and Brooklyn Park, northern suburbs of Minneapolis. Brooklyn is in New York, dude. What are you talking about?
But they suffer gunshot wounds and are obviously in a difficult situation. But we're cautiously optimistic that they will continue to improve. At this time, it is a very active scene still, as you've seen. The Brooklyn Park Police Department, along with other members, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, State Patrol, FBI, BC, and many others, are actively engaged in a manhunt for the individual that we believe is responsible for this. And so we'll be sharing the identity with those individuals as this progresses, but I'm going to caution you, I know there's going to be a ton of interest in this. We're not at the position we can do that, as we're actively searching for that individual. Right now, just as noted, we have teams. Hennepin County Sheriff's Office and Champlin are working at the scene there that occurred there, and then we are also, as we're stabilizing this between Brooklyn Park, working on the homicide investigation with Brooklyn Park Police, the BCA, FBI is assisting there as well, and we'll be conducting crime scene investigation there. And then
I was just kidding also.
Individuals that were killed will be doing autopsies of those individuals to determine the extent of their injuries and how they passed away. But it was from gunshot wounds. At this time, I will answer questions after Commissioner of Public Safety Bob Jacobson speaks, but we'll be happy to take a few questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Evans. My name is Bob Jacobson. It's my honor to serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota. This is a dark day today for Minnesota and for democracy, but we will not allow fear or violence to define who we are or how we move forward. We will stand together, and we will stand strong. Our hearts, of course, go out to the victims, their families, their colleagues at the Capitol, and to the communities that they serve with dedication and with integrity. These are public servants, leaders who committed their lives to improving the lives of others, and they were targeted in a violent and cowardly way. The suspect exploited the trust of our uniforms, that our uniforms are meant to represent. That betrayal is deeply disturbing to those of us who wear the badge with honor and responsibility. We want to reassure the public that there is increased security in place for elected officials and others who may be at risk. If you see anything suspicious, especially involving individuals impersonating law enforcement, please report it immediately by calling 911 or your local police department. With that, I'll step back and we will be available for any questions. Thank you.
A reminder, please, as you ask your first questions, please don't forget to introduce yourself, your media organization, and to the folks answering questions, please don't forget to repeat the question.
So can you say one more time? So you were just going to proactively check on Speaker Merrick's clothing, and then in case there encountered the gunman or someone with a gunman and exchanged gunfire. Can you just go over that one time, please?
Again, good morning, Police Chief Mark Brewer, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we...
Oh my God, I was just about to say something and he did it. If you are speaking in front of an audience, oftentimes you'll be given a microphone and the audience doesn't have a microphone or they're not mic'd up. You should repeat the question back so that when you're mic'd, people in the audience or people on TV can go. And he's repeating it. Good job. Thank you.
Again, good morning, Police Chief Mark Brewer, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not? The circumstances unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or impersonating police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So, Chief, early janitorial paradigm, the person not only was wearing a badge, wasn't a police officer. When they approached the victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is, what kind of vehicle, how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Chief, related to that sort of WCC, can you describe the moments after that played out? You said the person went into the home, and then can you help us understand the next 10-15 minutes of how we got from where I am?
The shooter was a leftist thing, is a direct Russian psyop spread by Russian bots and picked up by the New York Post and other slop tabloids. How do we combat this? Even when AsmonGold is both siding the issue while complaining about increase in leftist violence. I don't know. Good luck. Some of it comes from the people, some of it comes from the platforms. Listen. Tell Twitch to unban me, okay? Twitch has no moderate voices. That platform is fucked right now. but that's not even like just AsmonGold and Hassan's fault. Twitch is making that choice by keeping me banned.
Yeah, briefly, although I'm just going to remind us that this is an absolutely active investigation. We have thousands of people sheltered in place in the city of Brooklyn Park right now. We are in an extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, ridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police. Very briefly, after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
How far apart are the two scenes? 8 miles?
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 5 or 6 miles apart.
How much do you know about if the person that was impersonating an officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or the person breaking into the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
Do you all have a suspect's car?
We do have the suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on.
Some of the Asmon takes, the Pokemon catching of immigrants, for example, are way worse than anything you said about Yeah, I don't even know. It's really weird. It has to be. This makes me sound maximally deranged, but I mean, I don't think there's any other explanation for it. There has to be like an intense personal hatred of me by some, either a person who's in charge of unbanning people or a collection of people over at Twitch that don't like me, because it can't just be a political thing, because AsmonGold, I think, has gone further in basically every anti-progressive direction compared to me. Like, if you think that I said bad things about trans people and so they banned me for some ideological reason, AsmonGold, I actually thought he would catch a 30-day for that. That actually blew my mind. When AsmonGold said every single trans kid must have mentally ill parents or whatever, right? I don't want to misquote him, but it was a statement in that ballpark. And I was like, holy shit, he's going to get nuked. How does he feel so safe saying that? Jesus. That was crazy to me. Yeah, I don't know. Damn.
I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claim to be a police officer, please do a couple things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our...
Did you send your appeal again? I told you guys, I appealed like 3 months ago. They just never responded. I think they're just going to leave it sit. Maybe they fired the guy who's in charge of denying my shit, so now it just sits there forever.
Call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning 2 officers. So if there's only 1 officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of 2 or more. I'm sorry, one at a time.
Do you know if they're going to say anything, like when you knock on the door, do you say things once they're hot?
We do know they did, but I'm going to hold that back as part of the investigation right now.
You did detain someone for information? Is that matter?
This is a very large-scale search, so we have detained several people and questioned them, but we do not have anybody in custody at this time.
You may not want to identify that person publicly, but have you privately identified the suspect?
We have people of interest that we are looking for.
Michelle Griffith, Minnesota Reporter. Other than that, these are 2 Democratic lawmakers. Is there anything else to suggest that this is politically motivated?
Again, I'm going to hold back most of the information. This is part of the investigation that we completed. This is rapidly evolving, just occurred a few hours ago, and we're trying to sort it out. We have partners from the FBI, the BCA, the County Sheriff's Office, and almost every suburban agency in our community helping us with this. So it's very complex and working on it. But I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary. And that's about, I'll stop there.
Chief, thank you very much. We're going to take one more question.
Through with the BCA, can I ask just, you use the word target, and that's kind of along the lines of Michelle's question in terms of politics, Democrats, and Republicans. These are both Democratic lawmakers.
Oh, is there like a big curfew in Minnesota today? Like, did they shut down all the protests everywhere, or are they still going on, or how's that been affected?
You said the word targeted, so targeted because they're politicians or targeted because they're Democrats?
Well, so the question is were they targeted, and when I use the term, why am I using the term? As Chief really noted, there was a list of individuals, and the individuals that were targeted in this situation were on that list. And so when we're looking at that, as Chief really said, it's far too early in the investigation to...
They encourage them not to protest, but people are okay.
Be able to provide information, but I do think we'll be in a position where we'll be able to develop the motivation behind these attacks, and we'll be able to provide more information as this unfolds. And so that's part of the reason we're using it, is I think there's some preliminary information that is telling us kind of where this is headed, but we need a lot more work done by all the teams that are here working on that to be able to provide that with you with a degree of accuracy.
Thanks. Thank you. Quite a few. We're good. Thank you. Yep, hold on. Colonel, do you want to talk about the rally at the Capitol?
Thank you.
Good morning, Colonel Bogojevich with the State Patrol. We are aware of the demonstrations across Minnesota, including the Capitol and across the nation. We will work with our state partners.
Wait. Is this the list, or the list of names? Was this found in the person's car? Did he have this written down, given the targeted shootings of state lawmakers overnight, rest of the public not attend to today's planned demonstrations across Minnesota out of an abundance of caution? The photo is of flyers inside the vehicle of the suspect in today's shootings. Damn. I wonder, I mean, it must be an intentional, that he chose today to do it, right?
And our local partners to provide security and safety for those that attend.
Christine Miller, can you confirm that you'll have a sniper station at the Capitol today?
The question was, will we have a sniper at the Capitol? We don't discuss our security plans on the Capitol grounds.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We will, I think you do have, and if you haven't, let me know, but we do have a place where you can send inquiries for your interview requests, information requests. We have our State Emergency Operations Center set up. If you need information on how to make those requests and make sure that we see them, let me know.
I wonder how intentional or how planned out all of this is too, because if you think about it, there's a lot of bad stuff going on here. So on the surface level, obviously, you have the, you're shooting people and killing people, which is not good. But he's obviously doing it on the morning of all of these protests, which are supposed to happen, which could get some of these protests shut down. And he's also doing it by impersonating police officers, which probably makes everybody feel even more apprehensive towards police officers, which would increase tensions between officers and civilians, maybe lead to more violence that way. Like if any protests do, like it's a pretty mindfucky. I wonder how much of like psychological warfare this guy intentionally engaged in. In Minnesota, protests are still happening. No FX is a great band. Okay. The fuck is this? U.S. Army.
George! Get over here! Yes, my good sir. Hey, put that away. How many times have I told you to go update your dental? Sir, I don't need dental. I have wooden teeth. That's no excuse. Go update your dental right now. You're not going home until it's done. Roger that, sir. Go! I swear I'm going to start a revolution over this guy.
Okay.
Reasons to believe that these events were also targeted by the person in the manifesto in the car?
We don't have any direct...
Is this DC Drano guy, was he born in Russia or did he just live there full time? Is this a real person? Does anybody know? I like how none of this means anything anymore. I don't know if... The No Kings protest is officially a domestic terrorist movement. The Minnesota assassin was a radical Democrat who had No Kings flyers in his vehicle and targeted Democrat politicians who voted against free healthcare for illegal aliens. Time to shut it all down. Okay.
Direct links, however, there were some flyers that said No Kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a No Kings event.
And so the reference materials that were inside of the vehicle that we saw, we have no understanding that any of the No Kings events would be targeted, but we also find it of interest to the public that these would be in there, and we want to alert everybody until we do that. Because this is such an active investigation with information not knowing right now, we feel it's an obligation to all of you and public across the state of Minnesota to alert you of it, and that's why the colonel made the notation of recommending people don't go today. But the individuals are not in custody yet, and so we want to make sure as that very...
None of these statements back up what the guy's tweeting, but okay. Apparently that guy is present at 36:30 here.
So, calme-toi. Alors, aidez-moi à recevoir le docteur Vance qui va nous partager la parole.
Thank you, brother. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank Pastor Maurice as well for the opportunity to preach in this church. It's a privilege.
Why would they release the No King flyer image but nothing else? It feels like they only fan the flames. I implore you to practice thinking like this more, and I know it's hard, but we have a very, very bad tendency to look at the past as inevitable, and when things fall into place, we view things as that's how it only could have gone, and you need to practice going back in time and trying to look prospectively at things to understand how situations can evolve or change. I'm not saying they necessarily made the right decision in releasing the pictures of the No Kings thing, but just saying, and I mean, I guess we're still on today, but like, let's say that they didn't release that picture, and then let's say that it comes out, there's multiple bad things that could happen as a result. There are bad things that could happen as a result of them releasing it. People associate him with terrorism, or they associate the events with terrorism, or whatever. But let's say that they don't release it, and let's say later on, like 3 more shooters appear at some of these rallies and start killing people, and then the police are like, oh, well, this guy had, flyers in his car about these events. I mean, if I was in Minnesota and like I had a friend killed or I show up and there's shootings, I'm like, why the fuck would you not release that information that the guy had flyers about these fucking events and you just let us go out there? Yeah, is it the right decision or the wrong decision? I don't know. It's hard. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that could happen. People's decision making, you have to go with the information you have at the time. Who knows?
And I want to bring a greeting from all your brothers and sisters in the United States who want to say they wish you well and God bless you and keep doing what you're doing. Keep seeking God.
What, is this South America somewhere? Where the fuck is this? No, that's not Spanish. What are they? Where are they? Are they in Africa? South Africa, the Congo, London. Okay. Republic of the Congo.
This is an easy place to preach to.
He has like 30 videos of him preaching in the Congo. Jesus, this is 2 years old, okay.
Ça, c'est un endroit facile où on peut prêcher. Because you already love the Word of God. Parce que vous aimez déjà la parole de Dieu. You have ears to hear. Vous avez la foi, vous avez des oreilles pour entendre. And you're excited about God's kingdom. Et vous êtes intéressé par le royaume de Dieu. I met Jesus when I was 17 years old. J'ai rencontré le Seigneur quand j'avais l'âge de 17 ans. And I gave my life to him. Et j'ai donné ma vie à Jésus-Christ. And about 4 months after that, et 4 mois après, I met the Holy Spirit and was filled with the Holy Spirit. J'avais rencontré le Saint-Esprit et le Saint-Esprit m'avait rempli. And I just wanted to tell everybody about Jesus. Et j'étais vraiment heureux de parler de tout le monde, de parler à tout le monde de Jésus. I wrote out my testimony. Et j'avais écrit mon témoignage. I took it to a printer and I said, print this into a pamphlet. Et je l'ai amené pour qu'on puisse l'imprimer. And I went all over my hometown, knocking on every door. Et je suis parti dans ma ville, frappant à chaque porte. I said, I got saved. Et je disais, je suis sauvé. Jesus saved me. Jésus m'a sauvé. Here's my whole testimony. You can have it. Ça c'est vraiment mon témoignage. Vous pouvez le voir, vous pouvez le lire. You should serve Jesus too, I told them. Et vous aussi, vous devez servir le Seigneur. C'est comme ça que je leur disais. I remember when I met Jesus like it was yesterday. Et je me rappelle de quand j'avais rencontré Jésus-Christ comme si c'était hier. He has blessed my life. Il a béni ma vie. With wonderful friends like when I met McNay. Avec des amis merveilleux comme le frère McNay. And Pastor Maurice. Comme le pasteur Maurice. And all of you. Et comme chacun d'entre vous. Never would have happened without Jesus. Il n'y a rien qui peut arriver sans Jésus-Christ. He blessed me with a great wife. Il m'a béni avec une femme merveilleuse. He blessed me with a daughter. Il m'a béni avec des filles. Because of the grace of God, we named her Grace. Et à cause de la grâce de Dieu, nous les avons nommées Grâce. He gave us another daughter. Il nous a donné une autre fille. We called her Faith. Une autre fille, la deuxième, nous l'avons appelée Foi. God gave us a third daughter. Et Dieu nous a donné une troisième fille. We named her Hope. Nous l'avons appelée Hope, Espérance. Then we had a son. Et après, nous avons eu un fils. His name's David. Nous l'avons appelé David. That's another whole story for another time.
Where is this guy from that he knows how to speak French? And why is he translating from her to the audience too? Do these people all only speak English?
Ça c'est encore une histoire d'un autre moment. And then he blessed us with a fourth girl, another girl. Et puis il nous a donné encore un cinquième enfant, une fille. And we named her Joy. Nous l'avons nommée Joie. And we are so thankful.
Just kidding. Wait, what? His 4 daughters are named what? Hope, Joy, Grace, and what was the other one? Jesus, he's like making a concept album of children. What the fuck? Faith? Oh my God.
God. Et nous sommes vraiment reconnaissants au Seigneur. God in his wisdom, Dieu dans sa sagesse, knew that he had to restore mankind, savait qu'il devait restaurer l'humanité
And the
into
son is named
fellowship with
David.
himself, pour qu'il soit dans la communion avec lui. And you know the story of Adam and Eve. Et vous savez l'histoire d'Adam et Ève. And what happened? Ce qui s'était passé. He said, "Don't do these things." On leur a dit, ne fais pas ceci. They did them. Et eux n'ont pas obéi. And sinned against God. Et ils ont péché contre le Seigneur. And God comes with a question. Et Dieu est venu avec une question. The word comes from God. Et la parole est venue de Dieu. And he says, "Where are you?" Et Dieu dit, où es-tu? God didn't ask that question because he didn't know. Dieu n'avait pas posé cette question à Adam et Ève parce qu'il ne connaissait pas là où ils étaient. He knew where they were. Il savait exactement là où ils étaient. He asked the question for us. Il a posé cette question pour nous. He also said, "What have you done?" Et il leur a aussi demandé, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait? He knew the answer. Il connaissait bien la réponse. The question.
What breaks in someone's brain to be 57, have a doctorate, have 5 kids, and then decide to go out and kill politicians? I don't know. What is his what's his doctorate in? That is really crazy, though. Jeez.
Was for them. La question.
Why are we watching this? Are you getting into evangelical? This is the shooter, supposedly.
Était pour eux.
Dr. Vance Bolter.
They had children. Ils ont eu des enfants. Cain and Abel. Ils ont eu Caïn et Abel. They brought offerings to the Lord. Ils ont amené de l'offrande au Seigneur. It doesn't say why. Il n'a pas dit pourquoi. But it says that God accepted Abel's offering. Mais la Bible nous dit que Dieu a accepté l'offrande d'Abel. But he didn't regard.
He was talking to ChatGPT. When was this uploaded? 2 years ago.
Il n'a pas accepté l'offrande de Caïn. This is very important. Ça c'est très important. So often in the world today, aujourd'hui dans le monde, everyone wants an excuse. Tout le monde a une excuse for not doing the right thing. Une excuse de ne pas faire la volonté de Dieu, de ne pas faire une offrande. We want to blame someone else or something else. Nous voulons condamner les uns et les autres. But here's God talking to Cain. Mais Dieu, écoutons ce que Dieu a dit à Caïn. He said, "Why are you angry?" Il a dit à Caïn, pourquoi es-tu triste? And why is your face sad? Pourquoi est-ce que ton visage est triste et sombre? He said, "If you do well," il lui a dit, si tu as bien agi, won't your countenance be lifted up? Tu dois être relevé. And if you do not do well, et si tu n'as pas bien agi, sin is crouching at the door. Le péché est couché à ta porte. And its desire is for you. Et son désir se tourne vers toi. But you must master it. Mais God knows why you're here. Le Seigneur sait pourquoi tu es là. Tu peux agir selon la foi. To God. Et je vais aller confesser devant le Seigneur toutes choses qui ne marchent pas bien dans ma vie. And be restored. Et je serai restauré. And let God fill your heart with joy. Et le Seigneur va me remplir mon cœur de joie. And get going on that plan. Et Dieu va m'aider à arriver à vivre le plan qu'il a pour moi. I want to wrap this up. J'aimerais faire un résumé. However, Pastor Maurice wants to deal with anyone that has something they need to pray about. Peut-être le pasteur Maurice voudrait faire quelque chose avec.
It's just a suspect, right? Or is it confirmed? I think he's the suspect, but I think it's like heavily leaning in that direction. They, for whatever reason, they have good reason to believe it's him. The cops have announced he's the prime suspect. This page had information about him, but it's been deleted, even though there's no archive. Or nice. Is he in custody or is on the run? He is not even on the run. He's at large. I don't know if that is a formal definition, but I think he's on the run, armed and dangerous. Dr. Vance Bolter, EDD, Education Department, is CEO of Red Lion Group based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's also the CEO of Praetorian Guard Security Services based in Minnesota. Dr. Bolter majored in international relations for his undergrad degree at St. Cloud State University of Minnesota. He holds his Master's of Science in Management and Doctorate in Leadership for the Advancement of Learning and Service from Cardinal Stitch University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Jesus. He's worked full-time for Nestle, Del Monte, Tesoro, Marathon Speedway, and 7-Eleven. He's worked in operations, tech services, quality service, continuous improvement. It has experience in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Jesus. It's wild.
I mean, like when you constantly have political rhetoric that's echoed by congresspeople and other noteworthy people on social media that justifies or rationalizes violence, it's really not a surprise that something like this happens.
Like illegal immigrants are invading your country and trying to replace you, and you literally have to do the Alien Enemies Act to deport people because they're being actively invaded by the country of Venezuela? Like when you have to deploy the National Guard on day 2 of protests without request from a governor? When you have to send in the fucking Marines to go and enforce your ICE deportation? What are you talking about? How can you be so fucking mind rotted? Jesus Christ. At some point, God, I wish I could just I just want to be able to see into their rooms when they finish streaming. I'm so curious for people like him and Mike Rubio. Like, do they know? Do they know that they're completely full of shit? I'm so curious at it's got to be like a big meme. Like they're like, oh, whew, good day's work today. That was a hard one. Like, is it intentional?
Motivations of this are provide that as you can. This is really a public safety announcement for everybody so that we can make sure people are informed and make safe decisions throughout the day.
This all started, I think, with Luigi. I think this was the first time that it happened. And then when people saw that Luigi got a lot of positive feedback and people were happy about it, then right after that, I feel like you started to see a lot more of this violence happen.
I'm sorry, do you think that Luigi was only supported by the left? The right has gone full brain rot, anti-corporation, anti-big pharma, anti-populist, or pro-populist in their messaging as well. What are you talking about?
And I think it's very, very problematic, extremely problematic. Let me see what this is. This is some more of it right here. So basically, the guy is a left-centered Luigi. I mean, we're not sure about him being. I mean, like it's very odd that it's already decided that it's a politically motivated attack. And this person just happened to shoot the only Democrat that voted against a bill that every other Democrat voted for.
I mean, how many bills are being voted on constantly? Did he even look up anything? This is why I hate breaking news. I don't cover breaking news. This is cringe as fuck. I don't know how much information was out 3 hours ago. If they had the list of all the lawmakers and everything else.
So, I mean, and they have the No Kings posters. So every single indication shows that, but there's no certainty for it yet, right?
In what world is your brain like, there's no King's posters, so he must be, or is he saying that the evidence, because if I see posters like that in a person's car, my assumption would be that he's going to go shoot those events up, not that he's supporting them? Oh, Destiny, both of the lawmakers that were shot did not vote for that, so this theory makes no sense.
So, can you say it one more time? So
maybe he was handing out flyers?
Proactively check on Speaker Mayor's Corkin, and then police there encountered the gunman or someone with a gun and exchanged gunfire. Can we just go over that one time, please?
I can. Good morning, Police Chief Mark Bruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not?
Yeah.
The circumstances unfold.
Every indication shows that he's a deranged MAGA dude. Is he? I haven't seen any indication that he's a deranged MAGA dude. He looks like just in the little I've seen, like a crazy Christian religious dude. I don't know how MAGA he was or not, but...
In Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home.
God damn.
And hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked
It looks like the governor of Minnesota gave him private sector representative role for 2 years back in 2016. I think that's just his security job. Governor signs off is slightly of note. Well, just as a quick thing, because I saw people talking about this earlier. Now, I know that it's weird because we live in a world right now that has never, ever been this partisan before, such that the President of the United States, in an incredibly disgusting breach of protocol and in an improper manner, is revoking security clearances from people that he doesn't like. But it's you do know that it's like ordinary business to where people will appoint people or hire people or work with people that are of the opposite political party. Like, it's not normal or ordinary like Donald Trump, where you exclusively pick people to work for you that had jobs at Fox News. That's like a new thing. It's never been that partisan before, right? Because of the special trust and confidence I have in your integrity, judgment, and ability, I've appointed and commissioned you to have and hold the office of Private Sector Representative, Governor's Workforce Development Council. What even is this? He's just a guy that gives input on some kind of how development or something? It's not like he's a fucking attorney general or something, but okay. It's like a bipartisan council of 30 small business owners. Yeah, that's what, like private sector representative. Yeah. Not to knock anybody with a position like this. That's fine. But I don't know what this is supposed to prove one way or another.
Our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by.
Smart guy.
Some people are saying it's the same or a different guy with the same name. How many people have the name Vance Bolter in Minnesota? I don't know if I would believe that. I have a LinkedIn account. Why am I even logged on this computer base? Somebody said he was working at 7-Eleven during the time listed here. I mean, so he could still be on that thing, right? Those like little advisory boards aren't usually, those aren't like full-time jobs or whatever, no?
That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or an impersonating police officer?
Yeah, they were.
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
That's crazy to do, too. How's the suspect still at large? I don't know.
Victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is, what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle.
What the fuck?
And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Holy shit, that's scary. God damn. Wow. Totally a hit job? Yeah, I guess so. Literally all homes have Ring cameras these days. Just get the footage. Well, I think everybody... Well, no, they know who did it. Yeah, everybody knows who did it. I mean, yeah, obviously they could show the Ring camera footage, but, like, I don't think that it's really necessary to watch this guy shoot them in order to come to the conclusion that he shot them. So, like, that's it. It's literally like the movies. Yeah, I guess so, right? And is he arrested? No, he wasn't. He hasn't been yet. And I'll see if I can read a few more of these posts here about it. But, yeah, state representative, her husband was shot and killed, and Democratic state legislator and her husband are assassinated for their politics. Every headline should say so. Melissa Hortman was a Democrat, murdered for being a Democrat. Say it clearly. This is political terrorism. I don't know. I mean, it's very unsure, like uncertain why. I don't know, like, why the other group got killed either. Another lawmaker. This is another person here, John Hoffman. Is this person a Republican or a Democrat? Let me see if I can find this. It'll correct it for me. Minnesota Senate is a background, and he's also a member of the Democratic Party. So did he vote again? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she was murdered for switching sides. Yeah, but her being murdered for switching sides, that argument becomes less valid. And I believe that immediately less when somebody else was also shot who apparently did not. They both voted against it. Oh. Oh, man.
I heard that. Oh.
That's wrong? Well, no, I think he didn't vote.
You know what I've just realized? You know what I just realized? You know what I just realized? You fuckers in chat that like breaking news coverage, you're the same ones that hate spoilers in movies, because this is how you live life. You like to go through life, be like, oh, I'm so surprised about everything. And then the other thing. I hate all of you. I want you to know that I hate every single one of you in chat. I hate you all. Twitch is lost.
Nigga.
How long did this guy make it? 20? Did he make it the full way? No way. No shot. No shot. He made it the whole... Oh, no, this is a countdown. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the numbers. Okay. He only made it 4 hours.
What? Nigga. What the fuck is this? Twitch?
By that vote. I know that people will be hurt by that vote. And we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision. I know that.
This is the lady who died this morning. Representative Melissa Hortman sounded absolutely terrified while speaking to the media after she voted no on healthcare for illegals. She was just assassinated this morning. She knew she'd end up as a target in one form or another. Oh my God. Scroll down to... Wow, I want to see that manifesto right now. Truly heartbreaking. She had the courage to do what she felt was correct, and she met the consequences. Are these people fucking serious? Chilling. Okay. Israel might have just killed King Houthi in Yemen. What? Is that a... Oh, Houthi leader. Okay, yeah, they don't have like kings. Malik al-Houthi. No shot, dude. Bro, what is going on? Israel's just fucking... What is happening? What? The last like year and a half has been like the fucking golden age of Israeli military action. Holy shit. Is this real? I feel like they've... Jesus. Who knows if this is real or not, though? So right now she's a right-wing martyr, LOL. Let's see how long that holds up. It doesn't have to hold up that long. It only has to come and go for a day or two, and then everybody forgets it and moves on.
And of course, I didn't just take this.
Well, ICE says the world's most popular TikTok star, Mrs. Kabi Lemay, has self-deported after being detained by immigration agents for allegedly overstaying his visa. Let's bring in the conservative Gen Z influencer, taking credit for Lemay's detention before his eventual departure from the U.S., Bo Loudon. Bo, great to have you on the show again. So, I mean, the whole concept here is that you tried to get this guy, or you successfully got this guy deported. One, who is he? Why did he overstay his visa, and why did you get rid of him, Bo?
So, you know, this was a situation where you had a guy who, you know, I'm very... You know, kudos to him. He built a great following. He has a great platform. He's been very influential across the world. He's the biggest TikToker. But, you know, I had some guys from Dubai and a lot of his business partners and associates that reached out to me and told me a lot of things about him that raised a lot of red flags. And, of course, I didn't just take this to the media immediately or post about it online. I did my own independent research, which I've done with many other things. And I was able to uncover a lot about him, you know, evading taxes, coming to the country 50 times on a 3-year expired visa, things like this. You know, he was given opportunity after opportunity.
Coming into the country 50 times on an expired visa. How does that even make sense? What is this guy even talking about?
To fix his wrongs, right his wrongs, and follow our law, and that's all he had to do. He was given until June 1st to self-deport, and he wouldn't do it, you know. And so I've had the tolerant left and the fake news media, like the Daily Beast, calling me a rat for this.
Do you need a visa to enter the country? From a few countries you do, but from most countries, I don't believe so. Although I think it might have changed now because this Trump admin is doing weird shit. You generally would go to the State Department website and you would fill out something called an ESTA visa waiver. And as long as you don't have any weird shit going on, this will allow you to come into the country for 3 months without an official visa, as long as you've got a passport or whatever from an approved country, which is like 190 countries or some bullshit, I think.
Or people calling me a snitch or whatever it may be. But you know what? I'm trying to protect and preserve the American dream, and that's all I did with this.
You posted on X, breaking President Trump's ICE just announced the largest TikTok user, illegal alien Kabe Lemay, has departed the U.S. after being taken into custody. No one works faster than President Trump's administration. But we should point out that she also wished him luck and said, listen, come on back as soon as you get the right paperwork.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish him and anyone else the best of luck. You know, coming to this country the legal way is a beautiful thing. And you know what? I've had a lot of people, you know, I've had a lot of hate for this, of course, but I've had a lot of people reach out and say thank you so much because my family worked 5 years to get into this country and we had to go through the brutal processes and we're so happy to be here. But we don't want celebrities using their status to abuse our system and take advantage of the things that we don't have access to. So, you know, and Kabi, I can't say I'm done with Kabi. If there's other celebrities that are, you know, not in this country legally, I will investigate it and I will happily go after them as well. So it's not going to stop here, I don't think.
What an absolute fucking cuckold. Holy shit.
Loudon, great to have you on the show as always, both. Thank you.
Oh my God. Look at that fucking self-righteous smirk. What, do some investigating on this guy. Has this guy paid all of his fucking taxes? Well, has this guy ever TikToked in another state before, ever? Because if you've ever gone to another state and you've done TikToks, you better be paying income tax to that state. They should report him for every single fucking state he's been in. I want to see an investigation everywhere he's gone. What a crazy fucking loser. Oh my God. Destiny, how do you justify the violence from your party that led to the assassination of a CEO and now a House Democrat? I think it's incredibly sad and disgusting that Trump has inspired so much violence in this country, and I hope he stops. Urgent. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister, we will not cooperate with the IAEA as we did in the past. Uh-oh. I need you guys to remember this also, okay? Please remember this, please remember this, please remember this, all right? When you're arguing with certain people and they are using incorrect words, sometimes people don't know. Other times, the incorrect word choice is actually giving you an indication to what they actually think. So when I would debate people in the past about immigration, sometimes people will mix up immigrant, illegal immigrant, and like asylum seeker, refugee. And it's not just a mistake. What they're really telling you is in their mind, they don't want any of them here. So whenever you'd hear in the past Republicans do this, and say, oh, we just want to get the criminals out, blah, blah, blah. No, anybody that they don't like that is an immigrant or a visa overstay or whatever, they want to get all of them out, okay? This is a good example of that. Sometimes they'll admit it, sometimes they won't, but... Do you think that we'll get to the point of revoking citizenship of naturalized citizens? Who knows? I mean, like they want to, but I don't know what the next like barrier we're looking to smash through is, because we've gone through so many of them. An arrest warrant for contempt being issued and it not being enforced, maybe. I don't know where we're at on the contempt thing on the Boasberg stuff, or the government. I don't know what else is left at the moment, actually. I don't know. I'm not sure. Meet the leadership team. That's hogwash and Destiny knows it. What did I just say? That's hogwash. If you're MAGA, you know that you have there's literally nothing that you can defend anymore, right? You've lost. You've shown yourself on every single point to be morally and intellectually bankrupt. Like there's literally nothing that any MAGA person can pretend to stand on principally anymore. That's why every single Trump that I've managed to debate in the past few months has always eventually been like, I'm not here to defend Trump. Okay, I'm not MAGA. I'm not here to defend, right? There's a reason why. Kathy Griffin, like Dick Clark, will always be New York's Eve entertainment to me. The cowards that deserted her when she exercised her free speech still owe her an apology. She was 100% right about Trump. CNN should extend. What even was this? Who is this? Kathy Griffin. Oh, I don't know anything about her. I remember her name. But this is 3 years old. Why am I even linked this? This was 2016 shit. Do you not remember this? I recall MAGA tards soying out over it in 2016. I don't remember it. Maybe they did. I might remember it. I remember them soying out over the Snoop Dogg thing a lot. That was a big thing too. I saw your clip on burning American flags, and I got to disagree with your take badly. You think you should have your citizenship revoked for burning an American flag? Do you have any plans to organize protests? Yeah, once I beat my case. Why do you think the American people shifted so much on immigration? Self-reflection is good for your health. I don't know what the American people believe for anything right now. If Trump came out tomorrow and hardcore defended immigration, like half of MAGA would switch their opinions. Right now, the issue we have is there's a cult on the right, and we're waiting for the guy to like age out or leave office. Okay. Take a deep breath. We're gonna be boring for a bit.